Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Sergeant Adam Hanley. Today, we mark the 111th anniversary of the August Offensive on Gallipoli. After months of stalemate, Australian, New Zealand, British and Indian troops attempted to break the deadlock on the peninsula by launching a series of assaults against Turkish strongpoints. The battles that followed were the largest and most costly of the Gallipoli campaign. They ended in heartbreaking failure and produced heavy losses on both sides. Many sites of that bloody struggle, Lone Pine, the Neck, Chinook Bear and Hill 60 became familiar names in Australia and New Zealand. Today we commemorate the Battle of Lone Pine, which cost the Australians over 2,200 casualties and more than 800 killed. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Horace Stanley Bolden. This evening, we warmly welcome, representing the Returned and Services League of Australia, ACT branch, Mr. Patrick Delgaitis. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Good News Lutheran School from Middle Park, Queensland, and students from Windaroo State School from Mount Warren Park, Queensland. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catafalque party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier.
Party! Slam! Party, present! Arms! Carnival Party, reverse! Carnival Party, rest on!
If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Carnival Party, attention! Carnival Party, present! Arms!
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Carnival Party, shoulder! Arms! Carnival Party, order! Arms!
Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It could also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Horace Stanley Bolden. Horace Bolden was born in 1895, the 14th child of Robert and Caroline Balden of Waverley in Sydney. Known by the nicknames Harry and Blue, Balden attended Waverley Public School and later worked as a bookkeeper and clerk. He also played football for the Randwick District Rugby Football Club and was a member of a local cadet force and militia. Balden enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in August 1914 not long after the beginning of the First World War, and joined the newly formed 4th Infantry Battalion, which has formed part of the 1st Brigade of the 1st Australian Division. A week after his enlistment, he was joined in his unit by his older brother Cyril, who on enlistment specifically stated that he joined to be able to look after his younger brother. The two Bolden brothers sailed from Sydney on the 20th of October 1914, and after a brief stopover in Albany, Western Australia, sailed to Egypt, where they continued their training. They landed on Gallipoli on the first day of the campaign, the 25th of April 1915. Their battalion, the 4th, was part of the 2nd and 3rd waves to land that day and experienced heavy enemy fire throughout the first night on the peninsula. On the 26th of April, day 2 of the campaign, the battalion spent the day digging trenches under persistent Turkish sniper fire and made a failed attack on Turkish lines that was repulsed largely by heavy Turkish shrapnel fire. Horace's older brother Cyril was killed in action during the heavy fighting on this day. Horace continued to serve with the 4th Battalion throughout the gruelling months of the Gallipoli campaign. In August 1915, Horace and the 4th Battalion took part in the Australian attack at Lone Pine. In this battle, which was designed to divert Turkish forces away from a larger attack further to the north, the 1st Australian Brigade attacked on the afternoon of the 6th of August, moving across an area of flat ground and into a series of well-defended Turkish trenches. When the Australians reached the Turkish trenches, they found them covered with protective heavy logs. Some Australians started to remove the logs and climb down into the enemy trenches. Others continued the advance to another line of Turkish trenches further back. This fierce battle lasted from the 6th to the 9th of August. Balden's company took part in the initial wave of the attack and successfully gained its objective, but they suffered severe casualties. In the chaos that ensued, Balden was originally reported as missing in action, but later reported to have been killed. The exact details of how he fell are not known. Some records indicate he was treated for gunshot wounds on the 7th of August and returned to duty the next day before he went missing. Members of his battalion later said they had seen him wounded on the 7th of August when a bomb he was holding exploded in his hand. Another account relates that he was killed during the initial charge, shortly after leaving the Australian trenches. He was initially buried at Brown's Dip, and his body was later moved to the Lone Pine Cemetery, where more than 1,000 Commonwealth servicemen of the First World War are buried and commemorated. He was 20 years old. Private Bolden is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Horace Stanley Bolden, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Terrible party, shoulder, arms.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Terrible party, resign, arms. Catapult party in words. Turn. Catapult party, quick, march.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff, and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.